What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here, thanks for stopping by. Today's video we're going to be doing a endgame Trunda team. This is my best Hydra key and I'm going to show you guys what my team consists of. Of course it's going to be running Trunda, but I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm going to be running, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to maximize the damage from your Trunda team if you guys have it yourself. So let's jump right into it. First, I want to give a big shout out to my clanmate from the Omega Centurion cluster, Bango, for suggesting this team for me. It works awesome. It's a great team to watch work. It's basically full auto. It requires some targeting and all that stuff. But first, we'll show you guys the champions that are in the team first, and then we'll go over the run itself. So here we have Emic Trunkheart. So Emic Trunkheart here, he brings the reset, he brings shield, he brings unkillable. He also brings cruelty from his blessing. He's not fully mastered or anything. He's kind of partially built. You probably want him in War Master. But he initially came from my Iron's Twins Emic build, and then I took him out of it, brought him into Hydra, and I put him in a Reflex plus Merciless build. So Reflex plus Merciless is really strong because Merciless on the 4-piece set gives you, I believe, 30% chance to basically negate a cooldown on a random skill, and then of course Reflex gives you 40% chance. So it's combined a very, obviously very high percentage chance. So we put that on Emic so that he gets more resetting abilities, because it's all about resetting Trunda's big slams. Trunda's going to be the main damage dealer in all of these Trunda teams, of course. And that's where we see champions like Yumiko, multiple Yumikos, Susan come in, where they can basically just manipulate Trunda's turns, so she gets more and more turns and more big A2s. So here we got Countess Lix. Countess Lix actually was a champion that I've had for a long time. Never really fully built, but Bango suggested that I use her because she brings a weaken, she brings an AoE decreased speed, and she brings a cooldown reduction on skill, which is for team wide, which is actually really consistent. So for her, similar build to Emic, I put her in a Reflex and a Merciless build, and then obviously make her super fast with accuracy, and make them super, make her as much damage as I can possibly get on her. I only have 150 crit damage on her, for example. So Emic stats are here, 277 with kind of mild HP and defense. We're going to be tackling hard difficulty, so it's not going to be some crazy difficulty where I need insane survivability. So here's Countess Lick. She has a little bit of damage, 150 crit damage with a little bit of attack accuracy to land her speed down, 320. 320 is overkill for hard difficulty, of course, but obviously I overgear a little bit. I put Helm Smasher on her just to give her some extra damage. I think Helm Smasher is a little bit better than War Master on the lower difficulties for sure, so I recommend that. So here's my Trunda. Trunda has been basically my best gear on my account. So what I do basically once a week, I put my best gear on my Trunda and then I just let her rip on my Hydra Clash teams. So that's kind of like the way you get your best damage, of course, right? So here's my Trunda. She's, I believe, 3-star blessed, 2-star blessed in this video. She's currently 3-star blessed. I'm going to work her to 6, I think. 6-star Crushing Ren would be a big damage boost here, but I'm running Heaven Cast for extra damage based on the amount of buffs on her. Helm Smasher for some extra damage. Masteries look fine to me. And yeah, I mean, she's kind of a mild Trunda, relatively speaking, of course. Here's my Lydia. She's in a curse set, so she will be applying the Hex debuff, which is very important. Make sure you guys have Hex in any of your Hydra teams. That's very important. So she is in Hex. Ideal set, maybe 9-piece protection for some extra damage, but then I would have to find somebody to fit the Hex on. Yeah, that might be maybe Countess Lix. I'm not too sure. But right now it's going to be Hex is on Lydia right now. She's fast, she has accuracy, she has HP, she has tons of survivability. She doesn't have to worry about dying. Just gotta make sure she's fast so she can cycle back to her A3. Brimstone for some additional damage. It's not going to deal a lot at the lower difficulties. War Master for some extra little bits of damage there. Griptuck, we have Griptuck here with a Reflex set. He was in Reflex Merciless, but I decided to drop the Merciless set on him because I wanted him to be faster. So I gained about 20 speed by dropping the Merciless set on him. And mainly Grip Tuck is here basically for his ability to apply poisons on your whole team. And once he applies poisons to your whole team, he gives basically the damage multipliers on them increase. He's not going to deal much damage anyway, so gearing him with War Master isn't really going to do anything, to be honest. But yeah, he's basically here just to stack multipliers on your Trunda so you can deal more damage. Lastly, I have my Duchess here. She is in 9-piece protection, so her buffs give an extra 5% damage when they're up. So I'm making sure that she is quick. So she has 300 speed. She's going to be quick, applying her Veil, increase attack, block debuffs, and that's additional 15 damage. Her shield also gives additional 5% damage as well. So yeah, so that's Duchess. She's in Reviver Masteries with the Timely Intervention. Not really necessary for low difficulties, but just kept her as is in terms of Masteries. So that's going to be the team. Let's start the run here. All right, guys, so here is the team. I got Trunda in the lead with the increased magic ally attack in all battles by 36%. So she's going to get a little boost there. And then, yeah, we're going to get this started here at 2 times speed. So we're running it a little bit faster. I'll try to talk you guys through it. So basically, Duchess opens up with the increased attack, and then she basically buffs everybody. Grip Tuck with the poisons also buff everyone. You really want to target some of the trouble heads first. For example, the provoke head, the poison head, and then you want to crank out your big hits against the mischief head, which is the squishiest head, and then you can blow them all up. See, they're trying to just blew them all up when you target a decapitated head. So obviously with the Emic, Countess Licks, resets, lots of resets are happening, or not resets, but cooldown reductions. So then it means that we get back to a lot of the abilities pretty quickly. The 3-turn cooldowns, they get back pretty quick. So like Lydia's defense down weaken, and then Duchess's increased attack. But Trunda's AoE, it takes a little bit of time to get back. Usually she goes blast, and then she does 1A1, and then she comes back for another blast. Could be a speed thing. Maybe she's not fast enough to get 2 blasts in a row. But yeah, so basically as long as you have like dead decapitated heads, it's going to be pretty smooth sailing. So once again, thank you Bango for the suggestion here. I do have a quick infographic for those that are kind of just working through your Trunda teams. So here, these are the heads that you want to be targeting. Obviously discounting affinity. So obviously you want to be targeting the head of mischief, which is the squishiest one. Then you go after the head of torment, the head of blight, the head of wrath, head of decay, and then the head of suffering would be last. This is the targeting with the Trunda's A2. And then of course you always go after the decapitated heads if there's one open for you guys. So just something for you guys if you guys weren't 100% sure. There it is. And yeah, you can just watch this run. It just absolutely sings. No one else on this team really does a lot of damage. So actually when Trunda gets swallowed, or not swallowed, but when she gets devoured, it does get kind of dicey. But we are just running hard difficulty. So even just with our like not so great damage dealers, they still do enough damage to free Trunda, assuming that there's no like crazy circumstances like poison cloud or something like that. But honestly, this team is very consistent. It's full auto right now, and I do watch it because it's fun to watch, and I do the targeting, but Trunda's targeting is actually quite good, auto targeting, so you technically don't even need to watch it. But yeah, boom, you see that? So fun to watch it blow up. We actually had a really good start on this run. But yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this run. It's one of my first runs with this team. We did do some upgrades before. I booked out my Countess Licks. So initially, I think my first run I ever did with this team, I didn't have a booked out Countess Licks. My Emic was still in like regeneration gear, for example. And yeah, it was a very rough kind of like testing concept for this team. But this team I've been making for like at least a month. So I'm not really super fast on like making champions or teams. I like to do my research. I like to get all the info together before I commit to making champions on my account. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It performs really well. I love that it's auto. Because it's auto, the run is significantly faster than doing it full manual. So it's really, really nice that way. And it's nice to be able to contribute to my clan because, you know, even with Trunda, I'm definitely a very, very small contributor to the clan's overall power. So it feels good to at least contribute a little bit. So here we don't have any protection against the mischief head. Usually you're supposed to gear the Emic with resistance so that when the taunt is up, the head of mischief will target Emic and then try to steal Emic stuff, but then Emic has resistance. In this case, my Emic doesn't have that great gear, so no resistance for him. That's okay, we just live through it. This team also doesn't have provoke. So on hard difficulty with Trunda is going to be blowing up heads without needing provoke. So when it's fully decapitated like this, you can see some massive numbers pop off. So here, yeah, like I said, we had a really good pace going on. We're almost at 1 billion damage with 64 boss turn. Usually with this comp, I'm looking at about 250 boss turns. So we can kind of estimate based on how many turns we've taken, how much damage we can do. It looks like it's going to be 900 million times 4 roughly. So about 3.6 billion damage, which is probably a pretty close rate that we've been going. So a very consistent rate from start to finish basically with this team. I love it when they spawn and they die instantly. Just insane power here from the Trunda. I mean, it's really, yeah, it's kind of like if you can't beat them, you gotta join them kind of thing. I know some high-end teams don't need Trunda, and they can make teams that compete with some lower-end Trunda teams. But at the highest level, Trunda is pretty much unmatched. Like Trunda teams are just like insanely powerful, pretty much unmatched, I think. But there are some cool comps popping up with like pretty insane teams, insane damage as well. So we will see. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, not too sure. Maybe Trunda doesn't need the nerf. I don't know. Maybe something else needs to happen. But at this rate, I'm with you know, can't beat them, join them mentality, and yeah, we're just having some fun along the way, building those Trundas. I think Plarium has shown their hand with what they want to do in terms of Trunda and Yumiko. They're probably not going to do anything. I did have some thinking that they were probably going to do something. I did maybe hear something along the grapevine that they were going to do something, but it does not look like it's going to be the case. But who knows? Who knows? Plarium's sneaky like that. Maybe they need to sell some Trunda t-shirts first, milk everybody for the Trunda's significance, and then nerf them. Who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do? Hopefully not. Cross your fingers that they're not that evil. Have some mercy on their poor player base. But here we go. Turn 90, 1.4 billion damage. Team is singing, full auto. As long as there's decapitated heads, it's easy to pop more heads by basically popping the decapitated head. So when you target the decapitated head with the A2 Trunda Blast, it deals ridiculous amounts of damage to everybody else, especially if you have like Hex on them, for example, and then decreased defense and weaken. Yeah. The stats on this team basically also mean that nobody really dies on this team. And yeah, because most of the abilities are AoE, it's also very, very consistent. So block buffs is AoE, decreased speed AoE, decreased defense weaken AoE. Very, very consistent, very auto friendly. So definitely loving this team. But anyways, guys, enough of the talking. I'll let you guys run through this run, and I'll see you guys at the end for the final result. So see you guys then. All right, so nearing the last couple hundred turns here. So one of the things that you can do if you plan on running a team like this on auto is basically turning off Trunda's A3 so that she just does her A1 and A2. That means that any kind of refreshing that happens will happen on her A2. Obviously, you don't run her A3 anymore. You also want to turn off Gerptuk's cleanse ability and just have him use his A1 and his spread poison ability, gives your whole team poisons. So then when he procs his reflex gear or merciless gear, he will basically reduce cooldown on just his poison ability. So you can see here sometimes he lands many poisons, which is really good. And then of course some of the poisons land with extensions, which is really good. So make sure you guys give him Master Hexer for his masteries. After that, for auto, this is a pretty friendly auto team. Like I said, with the AI settings, is very, very good. As for like budget options, for example, Duchess can be replaced with somebody like Arbiter for increased attack. Arbiter also gives turn meter, so you get more turns. The problem with Arbiter is that she doesn't have she's not a good champion for protection gear, for 9-piece protection set. So Duchess, really good candidate for 9-piece protection because she gives 3 buffs plus her A1, which is 4 buffs potentially. But Arbiter works pretty good. Duchess also covers the Head of Torment just in case something goes wrong. So you might need a Shamail with your Arbiter. That's what I was running in the past. If you want a budget option for Countess Lix, White Dryad Nia is a very good, almost direct replacement. She has an A1 AoE decrease speed, and then she has a single target, cleanse, and reset. So not as good as Countess Lix in terms of resetting the whole team for 1 turn or reduction for the whole team for 1 turn. But Nia is very, very solid replacement for Countess Lix. And then if you want to replace Emic, it's kind of hard to replace Emic because his kit's so unique. He brings survivability and then team-wide reduction. Somebody like Kymar could be pretty good since he does bring team-wide reduction as well. Obviously give him merciless and reflex gear if you can, refresh accessories if you can. But then you'll lose a lot of survivability because you don't have Emic. So you kind of have to make it up in other ways with the rest of your team. But obviously the main part of this team is Trunda. And Trunda, yeah, Trunda is the main part of this team that is irreplaceable. Everybody else is pretty much replaceable. But here we go. We got 3.61 billion damage on this team. Pretty good. Pretty good. This is my record run. It's on hard difficulty, 42 minutes, so really, really fast. Really enjoy this team. Really loving it. Countess Lix doing 115 million damage. Raw damage. That's just her own damage. She doesn't have Hex or anything. Lydia doing about 400 million with help from Hex. Trunda doing just over 3 billion damage herself. And then Gerptuk basically doing no damage, even with War Master doing no damage. Emic doing some damage actually without War Master, so he actually can deal some damage. Duchess also dealing some damage. I don't know how, but she's doing some damage. But yeah, anyways, so that's going to be the team. Give you guys some substitutes, so hopefully that'll help you guys out if you guys are looking to build something like this. If you guys have Trunda, definitely make her work. If you guys can't do hard difficulty, do normal difficulty and just crank out the billions of damage. Help your team win Hydra Clash if you're capable of it. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to min-max and try to progress every week in Hydra, because if you're really focused on it and you have like gear, you have the champions, but you don't have the time, if you just put in a little bit of time, you can definitely see the progress stack up. Obviously the rotation right now is really good for Trunda. There's not that many force affinity heads, which basically lowers Trunda's efficiency and her consistency, obviously with weak hits and all that stuff. But yeah, anyways, really enjoy the team. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys can learn a little bit from what I had to say today, and hopefully you guys learn a little bit from watching the run. So this is it. This is Hydra Clash nowadays. It's just Trunda and do billions of damage, and that's it. or find other strategies that might get nerfed or may not get nerfed. But we will see. We will see what new strategy will come up soon, right? But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you all. Hopefully you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.